Number 3. I've read a few similar posts on here, so at least I know I'm not alone. This happened to me when I was about 14. I'm 25 now, but I still feel uneasy when I think about it. I was walking home from school, which was only a 10 or 15 minute walk. I decided to walk through the back streets instead of the main open road. I don't know why I decided to do this that day. Maybe I was feeling curious. As I'm walking through the houses, I notice a white van passing by. Nothing unusual yet, since a few other cars passed by as well. As I'm crossing streets, the same white van passes by again and again. I begin to get a bit scared as I notice 2 men in it, one driving, one in the passenger seat. I walk faster and the van is eventually out of sight. I was so excited to finally get home. There weren't any cars in my driveway since my sister had taken my mom's car to school that day, but thankfully my mom was home. I start telling her that it felt like I was being followed by a group of men in a van. She starts to worry that they could have kidnapped me, or worse. That's when we get a knock on the door. It's a man, asking if so-and-so lived there. My mom tells them no, and that they have the wrong house. I look outside after she shuts the door, and I see the man walking back to his car, a white van. I tell my mom that it's the same van that was following me. We both looked at each other, terrified. They must have thought that I was home alone, since they saw me walking home, and on top of that, saw no cars in my driveway. I wonder what their intentions were, and I wonder what would have happened if I was really home alone. It's scary to think about. Of course, I wouldn't have opened the door if I was by myself, but the thought of almost being the victim of any kind of assault is really scary. I never took the back streets home after that. Number 2. When I was 17 years old, my sister Natalie had a long, drawn-out fight with our mother, and she was kicked out of the house for a few days. Devastated, I waited with her outside of Sip and Dip, our local coffee shop, until her boyfriend came to pick her up. As we were waiting, this strange man that I had never seen before sat down uncomfortably close to us. I immediately began to feel uneasy, and I hoped that Natalie's boyfriend would hurry the hell up. It was well past 10 p.m., and the only street lights around us were flickering. What were the odds, I thought? Natalie didn't seem to notice, though, and was crying softly as she stared at her phone. I felt sorry for her. She had always been the one to pick a fight with our parents, but I never thought that it would be this bad. When her boyfriend finally showed up, Natalie gave me a quick kiss on the cheek and thanked me for staying with her. I would never let her be outside at night alone. I felt very protective of her, even though she was older than me. The real nightmare started when I began to walk home. I put my headphones in and turned up the volume, hoping to escape the creepiness of the town. About 2 minutes later, a car honked at me on the road, trying to get my attention. I took out my headphones and realized that it was Hillary, a girl I knew from school. "Layla, get in the car. Now." "Why?" "Just please, get in." Feeling a bit uneasy, I finally gave in and entered her car. I noticed that her face was completely pale and that she looked a bit scared. "What's wrong?" I asked, my heart beating fast. She started driving a little too fast. "Layla, there was a man following you. I saw him as I was leaving Sip and Dip and noticed that he had a knife in his hand. I really think he was going to hurt you." My head started to spin. It must have been that creepy guy that sat next to us. He must have been watching me since we got there. I'll never be so careless while walking home at night again. Always be aware of your surroundings. Number 1. Every summer I go camping at the same campsite with my grandparents. Now, I was probably 10 years old when this happened, so I don't remember everything. The campsite had separated showers and bathrooms for both male and female campers. One night, I decided to go take a shower. My grandma was a few camping spots over from ours, having a few drinks with friends, so I didn't want to pull her away. My grandpa couldn't take me into the shower, so I went alone. Stupid, right? Anyway, as I was approaching the showers, I heard a man, probably in his late 30s, screaming many things to what seemed like 2 girls. It was late and it was pretty dark, so I would have had to get a closer look to see them. When I took a turn to the building, I saw the man that was probably the one yelling, waiting outside the girl's bathroom door. Me being an innocent tater tot, I didn't think anything of it. I was walking towards the door that the man was standing by, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, people are trying to sleep." Even as a child, I was pretty brave, but something about him made me feel like I had to run the other way. He turned to me, and I finally saw what his face looked like. He was a black man with a scruffy beard, and he was wearing a black hood that covered his head. He laughed at me and put his hand on my shoulder. "I am sorry, sweetie. I'll keep it down." After that, I rushed into the shower room. Once I closed the door and locked it, I guess he heard the lock turn because he whispered, "Fuck," and knocked on the door and asked if I could unlock it for him. I ignored it because I heard a whimper behind me. There was an older lady and a little girl who I guess was her daughter. The mother was holding onto the daughter in the corner. This made me very concerned. I asked her what was wrong. "That man is trying to abduct us," she said very, very quietly. She sobbed and buried her head into the girl's neck. I told her that I would go get help. At first, she didn't want me to go near him again, but I told her that I knew this campsite like the back of my hand, which I do. I think that guy didn't realize that there was another exit. I told her to stay here and lock the door after I leave. I ran to the front desk and told the lady working there that there was a man scaring two girls who were hiding in the bathroom. I could tell that she was terrified, but she tried to be calm with me. She called what I guess was the police, because a few minutes later I heard the sirens. I wasn't allowed to leave the office, but when I saw the police trucks leave, I saw the man in the back seat. He looked at me with such an evil smile. My grandparents were notified, but they never said anything to me other than, "You probably just saved 2 lives today." I didn't really think about this story until now, many years later. I just got a call today that my grandparents want to have a family gathering at that same campsite. I'm going to attend, but scary bathroom creeper, I hope I never meet you again.